Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about the case of Alice Ida Looney. She has been on my list to talk about for a very long time, so I am very happy that I am finally doing this case. All the links that I use for research will be down below, like always, and I will also have a link below for you to submit case suggestions if you have anything specifically you'd like me to talk about. I do want to apologize because there's not a whole lot of photos I could find of Alice. There's a decent amount of information, but not so much with the photos, so I do apologize. But let's go ahead and get into this. So, Alice Ida Looney was a Yakima, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, a Yakima tribal resident, and she was born in Topanish to Eva and Wilkins Looney Sr. She was the youngest of 6 girls and 5 boys. She was named after her grandmother, Alice Thompson. She never had children, but she enjoyed taking care of her nieces and nephews, and was actually very close to many of them. Alice was also 38 years old. So she would fish on the Columbia River, and she would eventually learn the tradition of drying fish with her mom. Alice grew up in the lower Sadis area of Yakima County and Georgeville in Klickitat County. She lived in houses with many siblings, relatives, and friends. Her mom, she believed in welcoming people into her home. Everybody was just welcome. So there was always a house full of people. Maybe you kind of know what that's like. Alice attended Goldendale Elementary School and the Fort Apache boarding school in White River, Arizona. Her cousin, Dora Strong, says Alice was very soft-spoken, sensitive, and didn't have a hostile bone in her body. Alice was actually bullied because of her size, and she suffered from depression and struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol, and back in October of 1984, she would be seriously injured in a car accident. She wore a halo brace and had to learn how to walk again, so it was very bad. Imagine just being in a situation where you can't walk and just having to teach yourself to do that again. She is very strong for what she had to go through. And then just going to school and being bullied, that she just was just picked on, and she just suffered so much. Unfortunately, the sadness doesn't stop there, and it does in fact get worse. Because in 2001, her mom would die, and all of her cousins kind of say that it was like Alice never had a place to call home anymore. Because her dad also died in 1969. So she just has no parents. She lost her mom, who taught her all these traditions, and now she doesn't have a home. We all have those family members that when you just their home is like your home. It's where you know you belong. It's where you should be, and then they're not there anymore. It kind of feels like your home is gone too. I definitely know what that's kind of like. So Alice's sister, Caroline, she says that Alice was lost after Eva's death because Eva spoiled her. Alice would disappear for weeks at a time, but would eventually return. She didn't drive and would catch rides, and had an on-again and off-again relationship with a man that sometimes lived with her. On the evening of August 16th, 2004, another sister of Alice, her name was Mary, and her husband saw Alice at Legends Casino in Topanish. She wanted a ride to Wapato, so they dropped her off at the Roadrunner store in Wapato at about midnight. They told her to be careful, and she said she would be. So Alice's sisters learned that she was missing several days later, when her favorite nieces and nephews hadn't heard from her. Friends reported seeing Alice with a man at a house on, I'm so sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Mamachat Lane in Wapato, shortly after she was dropped off. So friends also reported seeing Alice with the same man at the Hideaway Bar in Wapato, and there were rumors that she had a confrontation with a drug dealer there. Caroline worked with a friend to create a missing persons flyer, and she would post copies everywhere. They scanned newspapers and watched news reports for any information. Someone said Alice had been seen walking along Track Road, so they started searching that area. Caroline told her kids that Alice was missing and told them to keep an eye out. And Caroline says that even if they were driving, they were looking by the side of the road for anything that could possibly be there, anything that could possibly lead them to Alice. So, going back a little bit, a month before she disappeared, Alice said that she and a friend were going into treatment for addiction, so her sisters checked hospitals and treatment centers when she went missing, as well as calling around to other tribes, including the Nez Perce. I think it's Nez Perce. I'm so sorry if it's like Nez Percy or something and I'm pronouncing it wrong. But they called around to Nez Perce and Warm Springs tribes, I guess to see if she had been around. So tribal police led the investigation, and early on, FBI would actually join, and so would the Yakima County Sheriff's Office, and they were assisting the tribal police. The FBI would later assume jurisdiction, and this was noted in a 2009 news release announcing the results of a 2-year investigation into the deaths or disappearance of at least 16 Native American women on or in proximity to the Yakima Reservation. On November 30th, 2005, after searching for over a year, Alice's remains were discovered by a hunter on a small island underneath a log in Sadus Creek, 23 miles from where she was last seen. An autopsy was done by forensic pathologists, but her cause of death was ruled inconclusive. The examiner did note it's likely that the cause of death was, quote, probable strangulation, but he did not have enough evidence to determine because of how much time had elapsed since she went missing. Her family is incredibly thankful to have been able to bring her remains home, and they know that they may never know what happened to her. The investigation is still ongoing, and anyone with information is to call the Yakima Nation Police Department at 509-865-2933 or Yakima FBI office at 509-453-4859. Again, the number for the Yakima Nation Police Department is 509-865-2933, and the Yakima FBI office is 509-453-4859. And that is what I have for you guys on Alice Ida Looney. I think in terms of all the Native American cases that I have talked about, I think this is one of the ones that have like the most information, which is incredibly sad because there's not a whole lot of information. I couldn't really find anything really about, after her remains were found, the investigation from there, like who were they interviewing, where were they looking for surveillance, were they trying to contact anybody that she had been with, you know, do they have any suspects? I wasn't able to find anything like that. I don't know if it's because, it's one of those things that they want to keep under wraps until they have information and then they'll talk about it later, or if it's simply because, they couldn't find anything. But I could not find anything about that part, so everything that I have here is literally what I was able to find. And what's sad is that this is actually one of the cases that has some of the most information in terms of Native American cases, or Native American women cases. And that is incredibly sad, because they are definitely looked over and forgotten, and just straight up not cared about. And I thought it was very important that we talk about Alice today, because like I said, she had been on my list to talk about for a very long time. And when I actually started looking into it, this is from 2005, well over, 15 years ago, and there's still no breaks in the case. And sometimes cold cases, they just need to be brought to light again. They just need to have someone talking about them, and maybe word can get spread and something can happen. Because I can assure you, I believe this with my entire heart, that Alice's family still very much wants to know what happened to her, even though they say that they understand that they might not never know. That shouldn't be the case, though. They should know. And I can assure you that they have not forgotten her. They're not going to forget ever, and they're always going to hope that they can find something out. So I thought it was very important to talk about her case. Personally, I don't really know what I think happened to her, like who did it. Maybe it was the man that she was supposedly seen with, or the confrontation with a drug dealer. That could be very possible because she did have drug and alcohol addictions, and drug dealers can be quite merciless. They're not the most tasteful of people, so that's probably what I would lean towards, is that something happened, like a confrontation or something, and they killed her. But other than that, I don't really know what I think would have happened to her. Everybody said, she was sensitive and sweet, and it's just so sad that this woman who was so dearly loved lost her life, no matter the reason. But that is going to be all from me today, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think it was the man that she was last seen with? But please be respectful when talking about it down below. Thank you so much for listening to Alice's story, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.